Liar demanded VIP table. I'm the owner and made her cry with 3,500. Owning a restaurant is a dream I've worked toward my entire life. But some nights remind me that even dreams come with their share of nightmares. I'm Mark, a 32-year-old restaurant owner from a bustling little city in California, and last month, I had an encounter with a group of entitled women that I'll never forget. It was a night that started with the usual hum of a busy dinner service and ended with a 3,500 bill, a crying queen bee, and a lesson in humility that I'm still chuckling about. But let me set the scene for you, because this story is all about the build-up. It was a Friday evening in late September, the kind of night where the air carries a hint of autumn chill, but the patio heaters keep everything cozy. My restaurant, the Olive Hearth, is a mid to upscale spot known for its farm-to-table menu and intimate vibe. The dining room was alive with the clink of wine glasses, the soft murmur of conversation, and the occasional burst of laughter from a table in the corner. Fairy lights twinkled above the outdoor patio, casting a warm glow over the wooden tables, while inside, the exposed brick walls and flickering candles gave the space a rustic charm. The scent of roasted garlic and fresh rosemary wafted from the kitchen, mingling with the buttery aroma of our signature sourdough bread, fresh from the oven. I was in my element, moving between the front of house and the kitchen, making sure everything ran smoothly. My staff was on point that night. There was Jenna, my 26-year-old head server, a bubbly redhead with a knack for charming even the grumpiest customers, weaving through the tables with a tray of cocktails. Carlos, our 40-year-old chef, was barking orders in the kitchen, his apron stained with tomato sauce as he plated a perfectly seared steak. My hostess, Mia, a 19-year-old college student with a shy smile and a clipboard always in hand, was at the front podium, checking reservations with her usual precision. Even my dishwasher, Tony, a 55-year-old former boxer with a gruff voice and a heart of gold, was cracking jokes through the pass-through window, making the line cooks laugh as they chopped vegetables. The restaurant was packed, every table booked, the waitlist growing by the minute. I was in the middle of helping Jenna clear a table near the bar when I noticed a group of 5 women stride through the front door like they own the place. The leader, a woman in her late 30s with perfectly styled blonde hair and a designer handbag that probably cost more than my rent, marched straight up to Mia, her heels clicking on the hardwood floor. Her friends trailed behind her, all dressed in expensive-looking outfits, their laughter loud and performative, the kind that makes everyone turn to look. I could tell right away this group was going to be trouble. There's a certain energy that comes with entitlement, and these women were radiating it. "Excuse me," the leader said, her voice sharp enough to cut through the hum of the dining room. She leaned over the podium, her manicured nails tapping impatiently on Mia's clipboard. "We need your best table, the VIP one in the back. I know the owner, and he'll want us to have it." Mia blinked, her cheeks flushing as she glanced down at her reservation list. "I'm sorry, ma'am," she said, her voice soft but firm. "That table is reserved for a party of 8 tonight, and we're fully booked. I can put you on the wait list, but it might be about an hour." The woman scoffed, rolling her eyes so dramatically I could see it from across the room. "An hour? Do you know who I am? I'm Lisa, and I'm basically family to the owner. He'd be furious if he knew you were making me wait." I paused, a stack of plates in my hands, and raised an eyebrow. Family to the owner. That was news to me considering I'm the owner, and I'd never seen this woman in my life. I set the plates down on the bar, wiping my hands on the black apron tied around my waist, and made my way over to the podium. Up close, Lisa was even more imposing. Her perfume was overpowering, a mix of jasmine and something synthetic, and her lipstick was a shade of red that screamed for attention. Her friends hovered behind her, whispering to each other, their eyes darting around the restaurant like they were sizing up the place. "Everything okay here, Mia?" I asked, stepping up beside her. Mia gave me a grateful look, her shoulders relaxing slightly. "This lady says she knows the owner and wants the VIP table," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Lisa turned her gaze on me, her eyes narrowing as she looked me up and down. I was dressed in my usual work attire, black slacks, a white button-up with the sleeves rolled to my elbows, and my apron, which had a small stain from a spilled glass of red wine earlier that night. I guess I didn't look like her idea of a restaurant owner, because she smirked, her lips curling in a way that made my skin crawl. "Oh, great, another waiter," she said, her tone dripping with condescension. "Maybe you can actually help us, unlike this girl. I'm Lisa, and I know the owner. He'd want me at the VIP table, so make it happen." Her friends giggled behind her, one of them a brunette in a sparkly dress muttering, "Yeah, don't waste our time." I felt a flicker of irritation in my chest, but I kept my smile in place, the kind of polite, professional smile I've perfected over years in the service industry. "I'll see what I can do," I said, my voice calm. But inside, I was already plotting. If Lisa wanted to play this game, I'd play along and I'd make sure she regretted it. I stood there for a moment, my polite smile still plastered on my face, as Lisa's words echoed in my head. Another waiter. The way she'd said it, like I was beneath her, lit a fire in my chest that I hadn't felt in a long time. I've dealt with entitled customers before. Running a restaurant means you see all kinds, but there was something about Lisa's smugness, the way her friends snickered behind her, that made me want to teach her a lesson she'd never forget. I glanced at Mia, who was still clutching her clipboard, her eyes wide with uncertainty, and gave her a small nod. "I'll handle this," I whispered, before turning back to Lisa and her posse. "Follow me, ladies," I said, my voice smooth as I gestured toward the back of the restaurant. Lisa smirked, tossing her hair over her shoulder as she led her group through the dining room, her heels clicking with every step. Her friends trailed behind, their chatter loud and grating, one of them a woman in a tight red dress complaining about how this place better be worth it. I led them to the VIP table, a secluded spot near the back window with a view of the patio garden, where ivy climbed the trellis and soft lights glowed like fireflies. The table was set with crisp white linens, crystal wine glasses, and a small vase of fresh lavender, usually reserved for high-profile clients or special occasions. Tonight, though, it was empty. The party of 8 had canceled last minute, which Lisa didn't need to know. As they settled into their seats, I handed them menu source special ones, the kind we give to VIPs with no prices listed. It's a little trick we use to make big spenders feel exclusive. But it also means they don't realize how much they're racking up until the bill comes. "I'll be your server tonight," I said, keeping my tone professional. "And to start, how about a round of drinks on the house?" Lisa's eyes lit up, and she clapped her hands together like a kid on Christmas morning. "See, girls, I told you I know the owner," she said, her voice loud enough for nearby tables to hear. "We'll take your best champagne." Her friends cheered, one of them a petite woman with a fake tan adding, "And keep it coming." I nodded, heading to the bar to grab a bottle of our mid-tier champagne, not the best, but good enough to impress someone like Lisa. As I poured their first round, I watched them from the corner of my eye. They were already getting rowdy, laughing too loudly, snapping selfies with their glasses raised. Lisa held court at the head of the table, her voice carrying over the soft jazz playing through the speakers. "This is how you do a girls' night," she declared, clinking her glass with the brunette in the sparkly dress. "You just have to know the right people," I bit back a laugh, setting the bottle on their table. "Oh, you have no idea who you're dealing with," I thought. I decided to sweeten the deal. "I'll make sure you ladies have a night to remember," I said, my smile widening. "The first 2 rounds of drinks are on the house me treat," Lisa beamed, clearly thinking she'd won some kind of VIP jackpot. "You're not half bad for a waiter," she said, her tone dripping with condescension. "Maybe one day you'll own a place like this if you work hard enough." Her friends giggled, and I felt that fire in my chest flare hotter. I gave her a small nod, my jaw tight, and headed back to the bar, already planning the next step of my revenge. Over the next hour, I watched as Lisa and her group took full advantage of their VIP status. They ordered the most expensive items on the menu: lobster tails drizzled with truffle oil, a charcuterie board with imported cheeses, a bottle of our priciest red wine. They didn't ask about prices, of course, because the menu didn't list them, and they assumed everything was on the house. I made sure to keep their glasses full, bringing out a 3rd round of drink champagne, then cocktails, then more wine, without mentioning that the free offer had ended after the 2nd round. Jenna, who'd been watching the whole thing from the sidelines, sidled up to me at the bar, her tray balanced on her hip. "You're up to something, aren't you?" she whispered, a grin tugging at her lips. I winked at her, pouring another round of martinis for Lisa's table. "Just wait and see," I said. By the time they'd finished their appetizers, the table was a mess of empty glasses, half-eaten plates, and crumpled napkins. Lisa was leaning back in her chair, her cheeks flushed from the alcohol, telling a loud story about how she always gets what she wants. Her friends were hanging on her every word. One of them a woman with a loud laugh and a leopard print top spilling wine on the tablecloth as she gestured wildly. I caught Carlos's eye through the kitchen window, and he shook his head, muttering something in Spanish about rich people problems. I couldn't help but smile. The bill was climbing higher with every order, and Lisa had no idea what was coming. If this story is making you as mad as it made me, hit that like button and let me know in the comments what would you do if someone treated you like this. As the night wore on, the energy at Lisa's table grew more chaotic. The dining room had settled into a comfortable hum, with most of the other guests enjoying their meals, their conversations a soft backdrop to the clatter of plates and the occasional sizzle from the kitchen. But Lisa and her friends were a storm of their own, making loud, demanding, and completely oblivious to the glares they were getting from nearby tables. I kept my distance, letting them dig their own grave, but I made sure to check in just often enough to keep the orders coming. "Another round of cocktails?" I'd ask, my voice all sweetness, and Lisa would wave her hand, slurring, "Yes, yes, keep 'em coming!" By 9 p.m., they'd polished off a second bottle of our most expensive red winey, 300 bottle of Napa Valley Cabernet that Carlos had been saving for a special occasion. They'd also ordered dessert, a platter of artisanal chocolates and a molten lava cake with gold leaf garnish, because apparently nothing says VIP like edible gold. The table was a disaster zone. Chocolate smudged on the linens, wine stains on the napkins, and a pile of lobster shells that looked like a small massacre. Lisa was holding court, her voice louder than ever, as she bragged about her connections. "I told you girls I always get the best treatment," she said, her words slightly slurred. "The owner loves me, he'd never charge us for all this." I decided it was time to drop the bomb. I printed the bill from the POS system behind the bar, my fingers hovering over the screen as I double-checked the total. 500. It was a masterpiece, every overpriced dish, every extra round of drinks, every little indulgence they'd racked up over the past 3 hours. I folded the receipt neatly into a leather billfold, the kind we use for our high rollers, and made my way back to their table, my heart pounding with a mix of anticipation and satisfaction. The fairy lights above the patio cast a soft glow through the window, reflecting off the crystal glasses on their table, and for a moment, I almost felt bad for what I was about to do. Almost. "Here you go, ladies," I said, placing the billfold in front of Lisa with a flourish. "Your bill for the evening." Lisa blinked, her glassy eyes focusing on the leather folder like it was a foreign object. "Bill?" she said, her voice suddenly sharp. "What do you mean, Bill? I know the owner, this is all supposed to be on the house." Her friends fell silent, their laughter dying as they exchanged uneasy glances. I kept my smile in place, leaning in slightly, my voice calm but firm. "I'm afraid the complimentary drinks ended after the second round, ma'am," I said. "Everything else, the lobster, the wine, the desserts, is on the bill. I'm happy to go over it with you if you'd like." Lisa snatched the billfold and flipped it open, her eyes scanning the receipt. I watched as her face went from flushed to pale in a matter of seconds, her mouth dropping open in a perfect O. $3,500? She screeched, her voice echoing through the dining room. Nearby tables turned to stare, a couple in the corner whispering to each other as they watched the drama unfold. "This is outrageous! I'm not paying this! I know the owner, and he'll have your job for this!" She fumbled for her phone, her hands shaking as she scrolled through her messages, muttering, "I'll just text him right now and you'll see." I crossed my arms, my smile widening as I prepared to drop the bombshell I'd been holding on to all night. "You keep saying you know the owner," I said, my voice steady. "But here's the thing, I am the owner, and I've never met you in my life." The table fell silent, the air thick with tension. Lisa's friends stared at me, their mouths agape, while Lisa's face turned a shade of red I didn't think was possible. You're lying," she stammered. But the panic in her eyes told me she knew I wasn't. I leaned in closer, my voice low but firm. "I don't take kindly to liars, Lisa. You and your friends enjoyed a VIP experience tonight now. It's time to pay for it." Lisa sat there, the bill crumpled in her hands, her eyes brimming with tears as the reality of the situation sank in. The dining room had gone quiet, the other guests pretending not to watch while stealing glances at the drama unfolding at the VIP table. Lisa's friends were no help. One of them, the brunette in the sparkly dress, whispered, "I told you we should have gone somewhere else." While another, the woman in the leopard print top, started digging through her purse, muttering about splitting the bill. Lisa, though, was in full meltdown mode, her voice trembling as she tried to salvage the situation. This is a mistake," she said, her mascara starting to run. "You can't do this to me! I'll sue you!" I stood my ground, my arms still crossed, the leather billfold now a symbol of her downfall. "You're welcome to try," I said, my tone calm but unyielding. "But I have cameras all over this place, and they've recorded every word you said tonight, including how you claimed to know me, how you belittled my staff, and how you ordered everything on that bill. So, unless you want to make this a bigger problem, I suggest you pay up." Lisa's friends finally stepped in, pooling their credit cards to cover the $500. Their faces a mix of embarrassment and frustration. Lisa swiped her card for the bulk of it, her hands shaking as she handed it over, tears streaming down her cheeks. I ran the payment, the machine beeping its approval, and handed her the receipt with a polite, "Thank you for dining with us." The group left shortly after, their earlier bravado replaced with a defeated silence. Lisa didn't look at me as she grabbed her designer handbag and shuffled out, her friends trailing behind her like a flock of scolded schoolgirls. The dining room slowly returned to its usual hum, the other guests resuming their conversations, though I caught a few approving nods from nearby tables. Jenna sidled up to me as I cleared their table, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "That was epic, Mark," she said, stacking plates on her tray. "I've never seen a Karen cry like that." I chuckled, wiping down the table, the scent of spilled wine still lingering in the air. "Sometimes people need a reality check," I said. A few days later, I was in the middle of a lunch rush when an older man walked in, his face stern, his suit crisp and expensive. He asked for the owner, and I knew immediately who he was, Lisa's father. I led him to my office, a small room off the kitchen with a cluttered desk and a single window overlooking the alley. He introduced himself as Mr. Thompson, his voice gruff, as he demanded an explanation for his daughter's mistreatment. I didn't argue, I just pulled up the security footage on my laptop, the screen flickering to life as I played the clips from that night. There was Lisa, demanding the VIP table, belittling Mia, mocking me, and bragging about her fake connections. Mr. Thompson's face darkened with every second, his jaw tightening as he watched his daughter's behavior. When the video ended, he sat back in his chair, his hands folded in his lap, and let out a long sigh. "I'm sorry," he said finally, his voice quieter now. "I didn't raise her to act like that." He stood, his expression a mix of disappointment and anger, and left to find Lisa, who'd been waiting in the dining room. I watched from the doorway as he grabbed her arm, his voice low but sharp as he scolded her all the way out the door. "You're an embarrassment, Lisa," I heard him say, and I couldn't help but smile. Sometimes the best revenge is letting people face the consequences of their own actions. I kept the receipt from that night, tucking it into a drawer in my office. As a little memento of the evening, I turned the tables on a group of entitled Karens. It wasn't about the money, though, I won't lie. The $500 didn't hurt, it was about the principle. People like Lisa think they can walk all over others, but that night, I showed her that respect isn't optional. I still think about her sometimes, wondering if she learned her lesson, or if she's out there somewhere, trying the same stunt at another restaurant. Either way, I know one thing for sure. She'll never forget her night at the Olive Hearth. If you enjoyed this crazy story, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for more Reddit tales. What would you have done if you were in my shoes? Let me know in the comments. I can't wait to hear your thoughts.